I would like to call the meeting to order. I see the meeting is being recorded. So you should all be aware of that. Jeremy, thank you. And I'll say welcome to Erin Stevens. Erin, good to have you here. Do you want to just introduce yourself for those who may not know you already?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I'm Erin Stevens. I am the Public Information and Communications Manager for the town. Before Beth arrived, I helped out doing some of the tourism and some of the other things in town. I've done a lot of doors opening. I've done a lot of work with some community development, and my background's in environmental policy and communications work, but I'm also working on my master's in city planning. So I have an interest in all of this.
Good. Well, welcome. It's good to have you here. Let's see here. First matter on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I trust everyone's had a chance to review them. Were there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes as prepared by Ms. Lauer.
So moved.
Jennifer, thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, now the obligatory roll call vote. Beth?
Yep.
Deborah?
Yes.
Marcia, you're non-voting, right? Okay. Cato? Ramon?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jennifer Shinniman, sorry.
Yes.
Tom Reynolds?
Yes.
And John Boynton, yes. It's unanimous. Okay. Next, Cato circulated a doodle poll about the best meeting time. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Cato.
Sure. Thanks for everybody responding. I think only one person didn't respond, which is great. But the overwhelming response was the Tuesday at 4 is the time that everyone said worked. It was actually the only time that Stephen could do it. So that's a great benefit for that. So that was the result of the doodle poll. So I'm not sure what else we need to do except for maybe change for the next meeting.
Okay. So everybody was available for that date for Tuesday?
Yeah, literally everyone was said yes to that time slot, and some people, was scattered all over. So that was 16 of 16 responders.
Great. That's fabulous. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we'll move our meeting in 2 weeks will be on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. We'll update the calendar invite. All right.
Cool.
Good. Okay. Next up, we have updates from the town. Who wants to take the lead?
I'm going to recommend Marcia go first. We had a great meeting with Community Block Grant information today, and she's actually going to a meeting with Ashland. So she's going to give us an update on that first, if that's okay with everybody.
Right. As you are aware, the first round of grant applications closed last Friday. They initially had only had 83 submit by Wednesday of last week, but on Friday they received up to over 188, but 188 that qualified. 5 Concord businesses were able to submit their applications in time, and they appear to be fully eligible to receive the grants, requesting $47,500 of the $210,000 available. So we'll be launching a second round that will add a 2020 income projection component, but it's going to be a really cumbersome process. But at least they're considering 2020, the impacts of COVID on the 2020 income. It will include 2019 tax returns for the household, pay stubs of 8 weeks for the household, unemployment benefits, Social Security benefits, disability, VA, child support, interest income, checkings and savings account information for 2 months, and last quarter projected finances. But I believe that there will be several people who will qualify, or several businesses that will qualify based on the conversations I was having last week with various business owners. So I know it's going to be a more cumbersome process, but at least it may improve the eligibility for some Concord businesses. Beyond that, there is a potential that the state will announce another grant program, and so we're waiting to hear more information about that, and when we do, we will share that and get the word out as quickly as we can. If we do not get enough applied for the second round of grants, I think the third round will be a lottery for all. So only 3 of the 23 participating were in excess of the amount of money that they were requesting. So we are not alone, and we actually had more applications than some other communities. So I was really happy to hear that. That's my update.
Okay.
Just a quick question. When you say a lottery for all, will that change the income requirement?
No, I'm sorry. It would open up the remaining funds to all communities. So any other community that might need those funds could then take advantage of any funds that do not come to Concord.
How did 5 applicants compare to the number you thought might be eligible?
Well, I had asked MAPC if they had a number for businesses that might be potential, and they identified over 780 businesses in Concord. So I think many people who have working out of their household, artists, different venues, that was the number that they started with. We on a napkin, I think, identified over 30. So that's the range of potentials.
And we do know that Marcia and I both fielded additional questions on top of that 5. So that just got frustrated with the process or were ineligible. So we know that there are others out there that want to apply, and those will be the first people we notify as soon as the second round is published. But it's not an easy process.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Marcia. Anything else that Beth, you have to add for the town?
I'll just share about the sidewalk sale from last Saturday. I sent out a survey, a post survey, and I've had 30 people respond so far. Over 80% said it was successful, and they would like another one in October and or November. The biggest feedback was it was great for people to get outdoors. Some people said it was the best day they've had since COVID started. I've had emails and phone calls thanking the town for the Jersey barriers and for figuring out a way to close the roads. Overwhelmingly positive. Definitely tweaks like, should we close a different section of town? Should we just close the parking? We don't close the parking spots? So there's a real mix of that. And everybody would like to be able to do it at least one more time with 2 weeks notice. They feel like that's enough time for them to notify their normal shoppers, but not, get a huge crowd going. So tomorrow I am meeting with police, fire, and CPW to get their feedback on the week. And then we will go back to the businesses with some proposed dates that would work well for the town. They do want to make sure that the topic, it doesn't say sidewalk sale. A lot of the retailers now are really moving into holiday shopping. So just a tweak of the language, but overwhelmingly positive. So I'm really pleased. And our third and maybe final drive-in is Friday night. It's Little Women. It's sold out in less than 24 hours. Everybody knows we got rain today. So me and Steve Barrell and Justin from engineering are gonna tromp over to the farm tomorrow and assess the conditions and decide if it's had time to dry up. And if not, we have a backup plan for the following Friday. And
there's also rain in the forecast for Friday, Beth.
There is. So, obviously it's been changing minute by minute, but we'll just make the best call we can and we can hold out as late as Friday morning to make the call in terms of like the porta potties not getting delivered and the movie company. We already have the discs and everything like that, and the company has the next Friday booked. So I'm hoping to make a decision by the end of the day tomorrow based on the best forecast we have. Our CPW gets really great forecasts from NOAA, so I'm hoping that we get a pretty accurate idea for what's going to happen on Friday and make the call then.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have businesses really interested to find out what we're going to do Rev 250. I've had 2 calls about Rev 250 already in 2025 from groups that are interested in planning now.
What is Rev 250?
Our 250th anniversary, which is
April
of the revolution. So April 19th, 2025, there are people planning for that now. and wanting to know what Concord is doing. And this one woman is got 8 tours booked or pre-booking now. She's going to come out and do a walkthrough with me and look at all the places. It just took my breath away. I'm like, wait, what year are we talking about? Wait, today is Tuesday. But it was a really great positive sign. We have our first buses booked for the fall, which also seems crazy, but people are booking double the buses so that they can have 1 person per seat. So I have a group of 80 coming in on October 15th. It's a writer's retreat organized by Mr. Rick Cleary, our dear friend. They are going to Orchard House, and they are going to do some other stuff in town, and they want to take a hike on one of our trails. So that's exciting. They're following all protocols. We're going to split them up into small batches. I'm really thrilled to be able to report that at least foot traffic has increased and the sidewalk sale was successful. And, you know, hopefully people can enjoy the good outdoors as long as possible safely, and that things stay good and people keep following social distances and wearing masks.
Cool.
And this is Jan. I apologize for sort of jumping in, but I just wanted to be sure people know that, yes, they're coming to Orchard House, but we are doing, Rick and I talked extensively about this, and we're doing a very special program that can be done outdoors.
Yes, good point. Yes, we are. They're doing everything outdoors. They're doing box to go lunches and dinners. Super safe, but it's really exciting to have them. He is purposely leaving 2 hours of time open in their schedule for shopping in Concord. The new bus zones got painted this week and the signs go up tomorrow. So they will be able to safely drop their bus passengers off to go shopping in Concord Center. So this is a great test for us. So I'm kind of excited.
And Beth, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. It's Rick, but what is this group? Is it just friends of his? Or?
No, he organizes a writer's retreat.
Oh,
so they're going to Cape Cod first for a couple of days, and then they'll be in Concord for the day. So they'll be going up to Sleepy Hollow, and he's got a whole day planned for them. And we should see some press soon. We've been in the news a little bit, so if you see Concord, we got some really nice press from Yankee Magazine, and we had a really great, interesting piece. We sent out a big press release a couple weeks ago, and I've gotten some hits on it for just the amount of things that are happening in town for outdoors, and that's getting picked up. So that's great.
So just, I just want to add one more thing. Sorry, I don't want to belabor the point. I did talk to Superintendent Hunter about having, you know, some of the CCH students who have community service requirements, maybe offering technological assistance or technical support to business owners who maybe, you know, as they try and develop their online presence. So I developed kind of a scope of work, so to speak. She has given that to the principal of the high school, and they are working on putting together some names of students. She did agree that helping businesses develop an online, you know, marketplace, especially heading into the holiday season, was a community service initiative. So the students can volunteer, help out, whether it's taking pictures of items and just loading things on the website. I think that we talked about this last time, and some of the feedback we got was having the time to do all this, because it is time consuming to build a website or keep a website maintained. So she's gonna give us list names of high school kids who can help do that. And I was down there for the sidewalk sale for a bit, and I also got a lot of positive feedback. I do think, looking at the street closure thing, one of the things that stood out to me is making sure that as many businesses are open on a closed street, you know, as a part of as my lesson learned for moving forward, or as many as possible, and making sure the communication obviously is where it needs to be, so all the businesses on a closed street know that the street is in fact going to be closed. But I think, like I said, I get a lot of positive feedback. People, you know, the vibe honestly was pretty good, especially downtown. It was spread out, so it didn't seem like as crowded, but the numbers I definitely think were up, and most businesses reported favorably.
I had a question, general town question for you, Stephen. Since we were saying that, you know, October is the new December and retailers are kind of really pushing to start the holiday season now, when is the town putting greenery up? I know it's early, but are we kind of moving ahead with that too? Or are we pushing that forward in the calendar?
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Jan, I think it's your phone. If you could mute, please. We're hearing a lot of background noise.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know the answer to that, Don, but I can find out. I don't know if there's a plan to do that.
I was asked when I was talking to my staff about, that we're pushing the calendar and we're pushing the holiday gift wrap and going to put the lights in the window earlier than usual, probably by about a month. She asked, what about, are we going to look odd? What is the town doing? When is the greenery going up? So.
Yeah, I guess, the other thing I forgot to mention is, because I was thinking maybe shortly after, are we talking like before Halloween, putting Christmas decorations or holiday decorations up?
I'm putting my lights in the window mid-October. I'm not putting, baubles up this early, but I'm starting to get a festive air. Yes.
So I can check. Does I actually don't even know who does this. CMLP do that, or is it CPW?
Yeah, it's CMLP. They typically do it the weekend before Thanksgiving. That's what it's been in past years. But if you're looking to do it earlier, I would guess they'd probably be looking at early to mid-November, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. We can check.
I think
on that.
first week of November is probably what we want to do. Just given the capacity limitations, we want to get the holiday vibe going.
Let's put up a fake calendar that makes everyone think that it's already December, and then they'll rush out to do all their shopping, and then we can say, no, you actually have more time.
Cue the deer.
Amazon's, big day is in October this year instead of November. So I think we want to march a little. I would love to see us march a little ahead of Amazon's big day, and I don't remember which one it is, but they're already promoting it.
I did see that. Yeah, no, we can certainly, if people think that would be a benefit, we can look into doing that, sure.
From the retailer standpoint, is there a downside to having the greenery go up earlier? If they could do it in October, would that be helpful?
I think it would be supportive because it would look like it's a town-wide effort. It's not just retailers saying, hey, let's sell some more stuff.
Yeah.
May I do a quick screen share if I can?
Sure.
I got this. Is that coming up?
Nope.
No.
Let's see.
Well, there you go.
So is I don't know what I'm seeing. I'm sorry. I'm not good at this, but this buy early October is the new December?
Yes, that's what we see.
Okay, super. I managed it. So that is something that American Booksellers Association, our trade association, came up with. And this is a non-book version of it, but they have a book-centric one, obviously, for us. And they encouraged us to share that. So if that is something that is of interest to anyone, I can send it to Jane and she can distribute it. I think it's a good message, and it talks about, supply chain disruption and things that we might be facing as we enter the holidays.
I think that's great, Dawn.
And I'd have to figure out how to get back to it and get it off the screen. I'm sorry.
At the top of your screen, it says stop screen share.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay.
You did it. Well done. Okay. Anything else, Beth or Stephen from the town?
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just follow up? This is Ramon. Last week we spoke about potentially using some of that instead of the heaters rebate maybe for air purifiers, and I just didn't know if we had any feedback on that. Beth, I thought you were going to reach out maybe to see if, I'm not sure who would be the right person to discuss that with.
I asked Stephen to figure out who would be the right person.
No, I did reach out to CMLP, and they were going to look at it, and I did not get an answer. I will do that.
Great. I just think it would help a lot of other small businesses. I mean, because the outdoor heaters is great for us, and which, was actually a really seamless, easy process. So thank you for that. But I just think that, especially some of the retailers where they would mention that the air purifiers might benefit them when they can't take advantage of the heaters.
If not through the light plant, we can see if we can figure something else out. Mm-hmm.
That's also a fantastic reason to apply for the Concord Together Fund, which a lot of businesses still haven't done. We've given out I think, just around 30 grants now, but there's still over $100,000 in that fund. So please apply.
Yeah, this is, I think this question of time is an interesting one. This idea that, the retailers are so busy that they can't make any time, and maybe we're now transitioning into a Concord Together update. But I wanted to address the issue of time because it's interesting that we have all these people who qualified for the block grant. They're not applying. We've got, another $100,000 of Concord Together funds that are just sitting, and the hurdle for application is so low. I mean, basically you get $2,500 for free if you just take the time to submit a little information. So it's a pretty good return on investment. And I think we're all a little perplexed. And we've talked in the past with the video idea, the idea of creating these, 1 to 2 minute profiles of local merchants, restaurant operators, and floating them out by social media and everything. And I did speak with a video editor / producer who was willing to do the job. We kind of sketched out a plan to profile 25 businesses. I was already thinking, geez, how are we gonna choose the 25? Like, we may have to turn people away. And yet when we brought it to Concord Together for discussion, feedback is that the merchants just don't have time to be videotaped. And so, if we're gonna do something like this, it's gotta be done in an efficient way. And, for the sanity of the video person, people need to be there ready to be interviewed and to do their thing, when he shows up. There's also, a small amount of preparation involved. We were going to send out a questionnaire with possible questions we'd ask people and ask them to kind of think through different questions. And I was, to be honest, I was disappointed that we couldn't get more excitement from the retail community. And I don't know what that means, but it does seem like everyone's just so busy. I get it. Everyone's really busy, kind of struggling to keep their heads above water. They don't have any extra time, but it's, I've been a little bit surprised by how difficult it is to get people to take up the assistance that's being offered.
So I'm sitting here now and I'm saying, do I remember that email? If I saw that email, did I respond? So honestly, I can't remember if I saw it and I can't remember if I responded, but I think it's a great idea. Could it be sent out again?
Well, we didn't send it out broadly. We talked about it within the Concord Together group, which has on it, of course, Jane O'Baggy, the chair of the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. And so Jane was really, had went out and spoke to or reached out to a number of retailers, and her basic feedback was, I'm not sure you're going to get enough people who are interested in doing it.
John, if I can just give you a little feedback on that.
Yeah.
So Wellesley just did this, right? Well, actually, our landlord in Wellesley just did this for, there's Church Square, there's a number of businesses, and basically they hired somebody. That person sent an email with 4 questions on there. Literally, it took less than a half hour to do the filming and everything. And that person shows up, do their B-roll, like take their pictures and things, and they just needed a few minutes of my time. And it wasn't a question. I think it was really easy. I think it's a matter of how we position this, because if we just do it right, whether you have 10 businesses or 25, I think the message is still powerful, and I think it's still worth doing. I think if you wait for consensus, it's going to probably not happen. And my recommendation would be like, let's just champion this, put it out there, hire the person, send the emails out, whoever responds, fine, and then just get it out there, because there's a number of communities are doing it. And I think the longer we wait, that we're just going to fall behind on it. I think it's a valuable tool to use. And I'm with you. I don't have the time. I'm like thinking like, oh man, how am I going to get over there just to take the video? But it was so seamless and it was easy. And most of the retailers are already in their shops these days. If you just show up with a camera and just, hey, I just need to be there. All you got to do is put aside like 15, 20 minutes, answer these 4 questions. You'd be surprised. I think, on a lot of these things, it is overwhelming and daunting to just either sit and look at that email or to think about putting the time aside. But even that even the community, funding, like I look at that and I'm looking at the requirements and I'm like, okay, the revenue, and I know this has come up a couple of times, but there's a historical, there's a budget, which I have to figure out. Then there's like some ongoing post-grant reporting. And I'm thinking, oh man, what am I gonna get myself into? Now I'm gonna have to like, go out there and follow up with something. And so it just makes you keep putting it off and putting it off, even though $2,500 is a decent amount of money, but it's still one of those things where I think, from my perspective, and I feel like others might be in the same position, that keep struggling with that commitment. So anyway, I just wanted to add that extra. But for the video, I think we just do it, man. I think we just, let's just find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
One question that I had was, I love the video idea, but where will the videos go and how will people see them? We have a TV channel in town. I'm not sure how many people watch that. Ideally, everyone would put their video up on their site and push it out to their social media channels. Are they going to do that? And, we could certainly put it up on the Concord Together site, but we have about 670 followers there. So that was my main question is, once we have these videos, how do we push them out? So Ramona, I'd love to hear, like in the Wellesley experience, what did they do with them once they had the videos?
So social is the biggest thing, right? So they're putting it out to their social channels, and all the retailers will put it out to their social channels. And then, with the videos that we've done ourselves, we've done it, sent it to our database, but also, if we can get the town to do some sort of public service announcement with it, that would be, I think, another option. And then a press release, some sort of like, press release. But really the biggest way is just social. I think that's the cheapest way to get it out there to as many people as possible. That's how I've seen it currently.
Yeah. Well then, okay, so it sounds like you and Deborah certainly think this is worth pursuing, even if we only get a small number.
Don?
Yeah, Don?
What about more of a quick time thing rather than even a 5-minute interview with a business owner, just the faces and the storefronts? So it's a 2.5-minute video that shows all of Concord. Because if I'm pushing out a video to my social media channels about the bookshop, that's kind of self-fulfilling. My followers already shop with us.
Right.
Yeah, but if we each posted about all of us, then that engages, I think, a far greater audience for. Yeah. I know I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Right, I understand, and we cross-post often, but to give a link to a 2-minute video about one other restaurant or retailer in town, I mean, I like the idea as a, to give a biography of our shop, but I'm not sure that we need to go that deep for this purpose.
I'll tell you what.
Sorry, I don't know if I misexplained it. It's a montage. It's a compilation of all places. It's not just one business for the entire time. They would come in and get all those shots and then put it all together, so you do get as many people that are involved. Yeah,
so
use.
And
so like a collage.
The one in Wellesley with the montage. How long is it all together?
I think they're saying about 2.5 minutes. I haven't seen the finished product of that one yet specifically, but from just once it gets edited, it might change. But they said the goal was to do about 2 minutes of featuring. I think there was only about 10 businesses, because that was a very micro, kind of focused, group.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. But in general, I think that it depends on how many businesses are involved and how, to your point, you can edit that down and really do a small capture of each place. It's not a matter of a huge bio. It's just a matter of just a little quick story or exposure.
So it sounds like it's worth kind of going back to the drawing board, refining the concept a little bit, and going back out. So
Yeah.
We'll do that.
So, John, just quick. So one of the things, and Erin is here. She's our she manages Minuteman Media Network. Even if we had like a longer form, like you have the short 2.5-minute one that you can share and retweet or whatever, but you also had a longer form one. We could run that on Minuteman Media Network, posted on our YouTube page. I mean, I have to do these disclaimers, like advertising is kind of a no-no, but I think if it's a collection of stories of businesses telling their story, that's not really an advertisement for a business. And so I think we'd be good to just put it on there, and like I said, we can share it and do all that stuff as well.
What kind of audience does that have? Do you have any idea how many people are watching that channel on a day-to-day basis?
So we don't know exactly how many people are watching the different channels. We don't get that information from Comcast. We have about, I want to say 500 subscribers on YouTube. They generally get notifications when we post a new video. But we have, several thousand followers on between Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have quite a following. And what I would recommend is, what Stephen was saying, is having sort of, having more of a story. People can engage with that. I know that, for instance, we have one from Deborah's Natural Gourmet from several years ago that sort of tells the story of what Deborah's is and why Deborah's is what it is. And people really like that. People like to engage with those sorts of things. They want to know the people that are behind the businesses, not just what you sell, but who you are, why you're there, what you're passionate about. So less of a come buy our stuff and more of a let's talk about, let's engage, let's build this community up together. I think people engage with that more. And I think if you had a really quick sort of compilation video that, especially if you can cut it down to be like 30 seconds, that's about what people are willing to watch when they're scrolling through their various social media. They will pick that up quickly. And if they see that it's 30 seconds, they go, great, I have 30 seconds. If they see that it's something that's 2 minutes, that's a little bit more of their time. Somebody who's really interested might click on it, but otherwise you're going to get some people that are just going to keep going past it. But if you have something that is quick, and then they can say, if you want to watch the whole video, go to these various places to watch it. So those are a couple of different options that you can think about with this video.
Good. All right, that's good. Very helpful.
Can
Jennifer,
I say
what
something?
else? Oh,
Can
sorry?
I say something? Jane?
Oh, yeah, there, Jane. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I actually second Dawn's suggestion. I think that that showing the downtown areas of Concord would be very appealing. I did a search when we first started discussing this on various videos that had been prepared for Concord, Mass. And they were really quite good. A lot of the real estate agents have prepared them. And it gives you a very high overview of what the town is like. And it's very impressive. And Aaron, I agree with you. If it's more than 30 seconds, you're probably not going to watch it. So something short and sweet would be very good. The second point was, I think the retailers have been bombarded with requests over the last couple of months. And I mean, I know I send them a lot of stuff, and I don't know if they respond or not, but I know that the library recently asked me to send something out for their scarecrow. I asked a couple of people if they were going to do it. Some knew about it. Some read the email. Some of them didn't. And so they're bombarded with a lot of things. And the other message that I received when asking how the sidewalk sales went this past or the weekend before, that a lot of the shop owners were taken by surprise because it's going to take a lot of effort to prepare for the holidays, and they were not thinking about that. So that, in many ways, that was good news that shoppers were coming back, but they have to start thinking about that, and they probably were not. They're probably thinking about so many different things. They get emails from their customers. They get emails from their supply chain. They get emails from the Chamber of Commerce. They get emails from the town of Concord. They get emails and it's just hard for them to keep up with everything. And so if they're getting 300 to 400 emails a day, how many you think they're looking at? It's just hard. So I would say go for another approach, as you were suggesting, John. And I think that would play very well, especially if the holiday lights and the other decorations are up in the town of Concord in October. That would be I think a lot of the retailers would post it to their client base.
Good. Okay. Other Concord Together updates? Jennifer, do you have anything else that you think we should share?
I think mainly just the news that, the fund is still out there. So please apply, encourage your colleagues to apply. Yeah, I think we've covered everything else for now. Oh, I'm sorry. There is Oktoberfest coming up. So there's a whole series of activities that will be happening in October. We're encouraging the restaurants, anything that they want to plan special for Oktoberfest. Just let the Concord Together group know about it. We're putting together some sort of a master calendar of events. And then the other big thing is there's just 2 more evenings and a morning left for this, but there is that delicious twist on the Fall in Love with Concord shopping event. The passports get double stamps. Any place you dine out, dine in, take out, or buy from an eatery in town, you'll get a double stamp. And we're doing a special drawing on Friday, and somebody will be winning 12 $50 gift certificates to a range of restaurants all around town, which were very generously donated by citizens. The restaurants were not asked to donate those. So that will be a very exciting drawing on Friday. Everybody tune in. But go eat out, get takeout between now and Friday, and get your passports in.
Good. Thanks. Does anybody else have anything else they want to share or discuss? Andrea, welcome, by the way. We're glad to have you here.
I don't know what, I had trouble finding how to log on. So I was late. So I don't know if you resolved the meeting times.
Yes, the 16 out of 16 said they were available on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. So we've always met Wednesdays historically. Going forward, it'll be Tuesday. So not next week, the following week, it'll be Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
Okay. So I just have to check my schedule, and if I have a conflict, somebody else will be the observer from the finance committee. If I can do it, I'd be interested in listening in.
Great. Yeah. So Andrea has the dual hats of being both an observer for the finance committee, which is good to have you here. If they want to send any money the way of merchants, they're open to it. And also a merchant in town. So with a lot of years of retail experience.
35 years.
35 years.
Just got a birthday now.
Congratulations. Okay, so no other updates. All right, well, then next on the agenda, we've got a new idea called Concord Commercial REIT, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And so this is an idea that I wanted to share with the group. And it's really an idea that's been kind of floating around in my head for several years. And I'm not sure it's really time for it yet, but it's a seed that I figured was worth planting, because I think this is the right group to hear this idea. And I'd just be curious for feedback, and we'll see where it goes. But the idea, again, it's called Concord Commercial Real Estate Investment Trust. And it's built on this idea it's based on this idea that our commercial assets are just as important to the town's character, to its heritage, as our open land and our historical resources. The town centers, the village centers are the things that everybody loves. And wouldn't it be nice if we could protect them and preserve them as the wonderfully vibrant places that they are? And if you think about Concord real estate going back in time, originally, most, if not all, commercial real estate in town was locally owned. Many of the spaces were owned by the businesses that operated inside of them. Over time, as real estate prices have gone up and businesses have changed hands, those stores, those shops have turned over. And what we've seen is that Concord Center real estate in particular, but increasingly West Concord as well, is becoming a coveted asset. And over the last, 10, 20 years, really, with interest rates being so low, commercial real estate's become a very attractive investment option for a lot of people. And that really has driven up the price of real estate. And something happens when a property that was held by one owner for a long time is sold. That new owner paid a much higher price. That often triggers the need for a lot of renovations. And that all translates into a much higher rent per square foot, because the new owner of the building needs to pay a higher price to cover their costs and to get their return. And this kind of commercial real estate in our village centers doesn't come up for sale very often. But when it does, we are now seeing a lot of folks from outside of Concord bidding to buy it. And so I don't have a perfect catalog in my head, but I know that the last two properties to sell in Concord Center, 19 Main Street, which is the tiny building right next to Helen's, that was sold to somebody from Newton. And then the one that really got me thinking about this was when 47 Main Street, which is known as the Friend Block, sold. So, where the toy shop was, that's a 10,000 square foot building. And that sold to a company called Linear Retail. And they own shopping centers all over New England, if not across the country. And so that's the first real kind of institutional grade investor we have in Concord Center. The third property that's notable for its non-Concord ownership is the building on Walden Street. I think it starts at 16 Walden Street, where you have J. McLaughlin, Irresistibles, Blue Dry Goods, and Artisan's Way. That's owned by a big-time real estate investor who's, I think, Weston-based or Boston-based, but a big investor. And I worry that as more of the Concord falls into non-Concord hands, or outside of the hands of the people who are operating those businesses, we're going to have an ownership base that's less sensitive to our values, to our priorities as a community. So the question I've been noodling is what can we do to ensure that these village centers remain as special, as wonderful, as affordable as they have been historically? And affordable, I really can't even say they're affordable anymore because prices have gone up so much. But they can go higher, I believe, unfortunately. And so here's the idea. The idea would be to form a REIT that would take investment from local people in order to buy commercial real estate in Concord. And if you think about, a lot of people live in Concord have investment portfolios with, equity and fixed income, right? If we could offer people a rate of return that would compete with government bonds or kind of other, very safe but low interest rate investments, we might be able to get a bunch of investment dollars from local people who really care about preserving the town. Most real estate investors are looking for, a 10 or 20% annual return on their investment. We'd be looking to pay out a 2 to 3% return. And if we could do that, what that would mean is we would be able to get by with charging the lowest rents possible. So the whole mission of the CC REIT would be to acquire strategic real estate and then rent it back to retailers, restaurants at the lowest possible rent that we could afford to rent it, while still paying our investors an acceptable return. Again, 2 or 3% a year is kind of the idea. And in that way, we could, over time, again, let's go back 5 years. Imagine if we had this when the Friend Block in Concord Center sold. We might have been able to buy that. We might have been able to, keep the toy shop. And by the way, no disrespect whatsoever to the new businesses that are there, but I know that they are paying pretty healthy rents. Over time, it would allow us to, in theory, keep Concord Center, keep West Concord affordable. It might give us more flexibility to bring in different types of retailers who might have models where they can't afford as much rent. True mom and pop, true indies, who are not going to be able to compete over the long haul with some of the bigger stores, the national stores. But it would, try to keep the rest of keep the real estate affordable to the small businesses. That's the idea. I don't know what people think of that idea, but it's one I've found intriguing. I've spoken to a few people.
It's a great idea. It's an absolutely great idea, John.
If I can just pop in as well. Whoops, sorry.
The last point I was going to make is I've spoken to a few people who are, let's just call them ardent Concordians, who would love to see our centers preserved, and said, would you ever consider, putting $1 million or $2 million or $3 million into a fund like this? And they were like, makes total sense. I'd love to. So, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just going to say that I cannot tell you how brilliant I think this idea is. And speaking from a slightly different perspective, as a museum, I mean, I have poured most of my adult life into Orchard House. I will never own it, but my soul is it owns me. but the thing that I feel always is so important, because we have literally thousands, tens of thousands actually, visitors every year who say, well, where should we eat lunch? Where should we do this? Where should we do that? And I have seen this town change over time in ways that have worried me, just as you're speaking about, John. This is a way to do exactly what you're talking about. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I cannot tell you how.
I concur with Jan. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's a great way to keep people really engaged and committed and invested in the town. From a structural perspective, I don't know if this is something that could be done through a town committee versus we need some sort of investment banking institution or something to create this REIT, right, John? But
yep, there's a million details to work out.
yeah. But you know what would be nice is that from the town perspective, could we do something, assuming this got created, to incentivize Concordians to participate? You know, could there be some, I don't know, some town thank you that would go their way if they participated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on that note, I was thinking, I was trying to imagine what would have happened if we were bidding against linear retail for that 47 Main Street building, and you know, things get pretty expensive. If there were a way that you could put a commercial real estate building into the equivalent of what the agricultural property owners do, and they get a tax rate if it's an agricultural use, but then the town gets the right of first refusal when it's sold in the future. Could you do something like that where this entity, where the town had some participation in this, Steve? I don't know how it would be, but basically the commercial landlord gets a tax break on a current basis for having essentially, you know, committed or giving a right of first refusal to sell its building in the future to this town affiliated investment fund.
So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to.
And I think that some of that is governed by state statute,
Mm-hmm.
but I do agree that it is a good idea. I think certainly if you had covenants that protected the lease rates, that would certainly impact the, as you noted, the ROI and the income. You know, assessments and appraisals are based on both property sales and also income.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think on the income approach, the value of the properties would be less. Like I said, if you had like a rent control, for lack of a better expression. So I do see that there's a pathway there potentially that we could maybe look at for, you know, kind of seeing if there's, like I said, an abatement or something like that because of the rent control.
Right.
That's a good idea.
I think there's the flip side of this. So let's say we can get this up and running and we've got all this, you know, capital ready to deploy. These buildings don't turn over very quickly, very, very often, right? It's actually fairly unusual for a Concord Center building to change hands. Likewise in West Concord. That's the commuter road going by. So I think you need to be ready for the next one that comes up. And you wouldn't buy everything that came on the market, but you'd have some priority properties probably. But I did speak to one property owner who owns a few buildings and said, would this be interesting to you? And the answer was, it would, but probably not yet. You know, maybe in 10 years I would be interested in doing something like this. So I think that it's something where we have time to plan it, put it that way. But I think it's a nice tool to have in the arsenal, nice weapon in the arsenal, you know, just for the next time something that the town really wants to, you know, I say town, not the town of Concord, but the people, the community really wants to preserve in the right hands.
And with that in mind then, John, if you get people to commit up front and give funds to the REIT, but we're not able to purchase a building right away, you'd need to come up with something that those funds can do where they could quickly be liquidated to purchase real estate if needed, but could at least generate some token return to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun to do like what the stock brokerages are doing, to have slices of pie, you know, proportions of shares of stock that the kids could buy?
That's a great idea.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Talk about a true gift of Concord. 5 shares in Concord Center. Here's 5 shares in West Concord. Yeah.
Awesome idea.
All
Yeah.
right. Just an idea.
I mean, this happens actually in a lot. This happens in cities. There'll be redevelopment authorities that are quasi governmental. There are there'll be, I know Lowell, there's a Lowell Development Financial Corporation, LDFC, and that's basically a loan pool that developers can go to make investments in downtown Lowell, and the risk is shared amongst the banks. So there are models out there. I'll be candid, like a quasi-governmental one wouldn't work, because most of those are done under the auspices of urban renewal for slum and blight.
Right.
This is a very different rationale, but I do think that there are models that we could work with, and maybe John, sometime in the near future, you and Lane and I can have a discussion about what that would look like, because I think if there is a pathway to doing that, maybe we'd want to know that sooner rather than later, because I think the big thing, like you said, in some extent, the town as a property purchaser from time to time, the big thing is when something comes up, we know we want it, we can go to town meeting and ask them for the money, and then we have it. And so that timeline is built in, whereas for a private purchase, you're going to want to have your board of directors and your, articles of incorporation or whatever already nailed down, and maybe have pledges or something like that. So when something does happen, you're ready to go. Unfortunately, I promise, I don't know about anybody else, but I never hear about stuff like that. I rarely am the first to hear about possible buildings going up for sale. So that's the challenge for us, is getting ahead, the town government getting ahead of something like this and being like, hey, we got one, let's go. Normally if it's a conservation thing, yeah, they call us first, but a lot of times we don't find out till late in the game.
We think about, the Concord Land Conservation Trust, right? And that's completely private in terms of how it operates, but it partners with the town, or the interests are aligned, right? So I think this is probably a completely private undertaking, but there could be public-private partnership opportunities, in the forms of, tax relief or other incentives potentially. Who knows? All right, that was all I had to say about it. Thanks for the feedback. And I think we should, again, planting a seed. Let's see what happens. Okay. Recommendations to consider. I don't believe we have any beyond this idea that we recommend that we put up the greenery in the village centers as soon as we can. So anything else besides that we want to promote to the town? Don't think so. Okay. Any other business to discuss? Any public comment? Nope. Okay. And I guess we're ready to adjourn. Shake your head here, yeah? Ruth?
I'm thrilled that you're adjourning.
Great. So then let's entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, and we'll take a roll call vote. Jennifer moves it. Do we have a second? Deborah seconds. Okay, great. Going right around. Deborah? Okay, Dawn?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
And I'm sorry. Ken McGonigal?
Aye.
Ramon?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
And the uncharacteristically quiet one, Mark?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.
Hey, John, can you stay on for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Hi,
Because I know
everyone.
you're the host.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Everybody.
You.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.